Donald Trump's first full day in office as returning U.S. president has come to an end with a late-evening move to shut down the offices of federal agencies overseeing diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. He also pardoned a man convicted of operating Silk Road, a dark web marketplace, and launched a $500 billion, £404 billion artificial intelligence plan. On Wednesday, he will meet congressional leaders and appear on Sean Hannity's show on Fox News. His most frenetic time in a busy few days came shortly after taking the oath at his inauguration on Monday. He signed a flurry of execution orders to enact some of the promises he made in the election campaign. Executive orders carry the weight of law, but can be overturned by subsequent presidents or the courts. Several of those planned by Trump face legal challenges. Here is a summary of some of Trump's actions so far. Immigration. National emergency. Trump has proclaimed that America's sovereignty is under attack, declaring this to be a national emergency that allows him to free up more funding to reinforce the border with Mexico. The same directive tells officials to relaunch efforts to build a border wall with Mexico that was started under his first presidency. This is not an executive order, and it is unclear how such an effort might be funded. Closing the border. The president has told the military to seal the borders, citing the flow of illicit drugs, human smuggling, and crime relating to crossings. Birthright citizenship. Trump has ordered that officials deny the right to citizenship to the children of migrants either in the U.S. illegally or on temporary visas. But the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution has long been interpreted to enshrine that right, and Trump's order was immediately challenged in federal court. Terrorism designation for gangs and cartels. Trump has designated drug cartels and international gangs as foreign terrorist organizations, adding the likes of Salvadoran gang MS-13 to a list that includes the so-called Islamic State. Remain in Mexico, and no more catch and release. Trump has re-implemented his Remain in Mexico policy from his first term. This returned about 70,000 non-Mexican asylum seekers across the border to await hearings, before being canceled by President Joe Biden. The same order demands the end of catch and release, a policy that allows migrants to live in U.S. communities while they await their hearings. Trump has previously promised the largest deportation program in American history, but this could face legal and logistical challenges. The order also shut down a major Biden-era immigration pipeline, a sponsorship initiative that allowed up to 30,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to fly to the U.S. It had been designed to cut illegal crossings. TikTok. Trump has signed a directive postponing by 75 days the implementation of a law that would ban Chinese-owned app TikTok in the U.S. The platform had briefly been shut the day before the inauguration, to comply with the law which demands that a new American owner be found. Trump formally backed a TikTok ban, but indicated he reversed course after his campaign videos attracted billions of views. Asked what the action does after he signed it, he said it gives him the right to sell it or close it. 2021 Capitol riot. Pardoning hundreds who stormed U.S. Capitol. Trump announced he was issuing pardons for nearly 1,600 of his supporters who were arrested in the riot at the U.S. Capitol in 2021. Trump has repeatedly referred to those arrested in the riot as hostages. At least 600 were charged with assaulting or impeding federal officers. Commuting sentences of Oath Keepers, Proud Boys. Trump also commuted sentences for members of the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, far-right groups who were convicted of seditious conspiracy in relation to the riot. A lawyer for former Proud Boys leader Henry Enrique Tarrio, who was jailed for 22 years for seditious conspiracy, said his client also expected to be released. Government reform. Doge and Elon Musk. Trump has signed a directive creating the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, a new advisory body on cutting government costs. It is expected to be led by Elon Musk, who Trump separately said would get an office for about 20 employees. Freeze on federal hiring. Another order halts any new federal hiring, except within the U.S. military and several other categories, until the Trump administration has full control over the government. Federal employees returning to the office. Trump has also signed a memorandum mandating that federal workers must work in the office and are not allowed to work from home. Censorship. Another directive orders the restoration of freedom of speech and preventing government censorship. It directs the Attorney General to investigate the activities of officials at certain agencies, such as the Department of Justice, Securities and Exchange Commission, and Federal Trade Commission, during the Biden era. Political prosecutions. Another executive order seeks to end the weaponization of government against political adversaries. It mandates a review of the work of various law enforcement and intelligence agencies under Biden to identify any instances of alleged weaponization, and then recommend appropriate remedial actions. Reversing Biden policies. American First. Trump has announced he is pausing foreign aid, outlining that he wants a review of foreign assistance programs. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said this was part of a new American First foreign policy. Cuba. Trump wants to undo Biden's recent decision to remove Cuba from the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism. He could also reinstate sanctions against Venezuela. Both countries were frequent targets of his ire during his first administration. Regulatory freeze. Another order directs federal agencies to refrain from issuing any new regulations until the Trump administration has full control of the government. Unvaccinated federal workers. As part of a directive reversing Biden-era policies, Trump revoked a mandate that federal workers must be vaccinated with the COVID vaccine. He has promised to reinstate the 8,000 military service members who were discharged due to the Pentagon's COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. Economy. Tackling inflation. Trump has signed a directive asking every U.S. federal department and agency to address the cost of living. The directive, which is not an executive order, asks agencies to look at lowering the costs of housing, healthcare and key household items, groceries and fuel. It asks for a report in 30 days. It's not clear how the Trump administration intends to lower these costs, and this is not detailed in the directive. Renaming the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, and Alaska's Mount Denali. Trump has directed the Secretary of the Interior to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. The same order also directs the Secretary to rename Alaska's Mount Denali to Mount McKinley, in honor of America's 25th president whose tariff policies Trump admires. President Barack Obama changed the name from McKinley to Denali to reflect what North America's highest peak was called by native tribes. What Trump has not acted on yet. Tariffs. After bracing for weeks for a trade war with the U.S., Canada has, for now, evaded import taxes that Donald Trump had threatened to impose on the country as soon as he takes office. But Trump said on Monday the tariffs on Canada and Mexico could come on February 1st, and ordered federal officials to review U.S. trade relationships for unfair practices, including those with Canada, Mexico, and China. Secret documents. At a rally on Sunday, Trump said he would release classified documents related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963, a subject of countless conspiracy theories, as well as the 1968 killings of Senator Robert Kennedy and civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. Crypto pile. Trump has championed cryptocurrency, and his election saw the value of Bitcoin increase by 30%. Some believe Trump will move quickly to create a federal Bitcoin stockpile, a strategic reserve similar to the U.S.'s stockpile of gold and oil that he has said would serve as a permanent national asset to benefit all Americans.
Could you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so.
The start of President Donald Trump's renewed crackdown on immigration began in earnest Monday, the president signing a slate of executive orders specific to the border.